Alright, so what if Donald Trump walked into the room and said to you, 2 plus 2 equals 4? Would you believe him? Now, depending on whether or not you believe him, will determine whether or not you are falling victim to what is called, inside our brains, the disliking bias. The disliking bias is a cognitive bias. It's like akin to like a glitch or an automatic response that we have that's built into our brains that affect how we respond or act or perceive certain things or certain inputs in the world. In this case, the disliking bias is someone we don't like is telling us something factual, but simply because we don't like the character, the past or our experience or perception to him, we don't believe what he's telling us. This could be the same with, say, Adolf Hitler walking into the room and saying 3 plus 3 equals 6. But in this case, it's Donald Trump walks into the room, someone people don't really like, and says to you, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Most people, surprisingly, would not believe him, or wouldn't listen to him. But depending on whether or not you're falling for the disliking bias, is affecting you in other ways in life as well. Because, you see, in this case, Donald Trump knows a thing or two about real estate. He knows a thing or two about politics. He knows that he's 70 as well. He knows a thing or two about living and life experience. There's something, everyone has something, some knowledge, some information, making them worthwhile listening to. So you really don't want your disliking bias, your disdain for someone's character, to block you from listening to what they have to say, because they could say something golden that could change your entire life, or change your entire viewpoint, or change your entire business strategy. Donald Trump could say one thing that's factual, just as factual as 2 plus 2 equals 4, that's to do with business or real estate or investing, and then suddenly everything is changed. It makes a massive change, like a massive spanner in the works, which can change your entire strategy. The point is, you don't want to be blindsided to not listen to people purely because of their character. I have a book here by Tony Blair, and he wasn't very popular in the UK, but as a Prime Minister, he knows a lot of stuff. He knows a lot about politics. He knows a lot about life experience. So someone worth listening to, someone worth taking advice from, or sharing or listening to their experiences from, at the very least reading their biography. Abraham Lincoln said, "I never met a man I couldn't learn something from, and often it was what not to do in life," meaning that there is something, a golden nugget or loads of silver nuggets that we can learn from people from all walks of life in order to better our own life and to take in more knowledge and take in more advice. You don't want to block people off from not taking their advice purely because of their character. Listen to the 99% of people, but take it all with a pinch of salt, because everyone has what's called also survivorship bias, so meaning that their experiences may be biased to them and that their success may be biased to their situation. So their advice isn't always applicable or not always compatible. But the point is, listen to everyone and take in as much ideas and knowledge as you can, because it could be that one piece of information on what to do or what not to do that can revolutionize your life. Also, to understand that the world is not black and white, the world is not yes or no, it's various shades of grey. Everything is, in one form or another, when it comes to humanities and humanitarianism and human interactions and living in the world, it's not black and white, it's not yes or no, it's various shades of grey. So politics, not everyone is right and not everyone is right, and not everyone is right and not everyone's wrong. There's always two sides, or really there's actually always three sides of your stories. There's the heads, the tails, and the edge. You want to be along the edge of the coin, listening to both sides of the argument, being able to take one point of view and take the other point of view, and then be able to argue against yourself on both those arguments. You want the truth. You don't want extreme views and extreme opinions. Take in both sides of the knot of information. So, left and right politics. Understand and listen to both sides of the argument, and take one or take both of them and be able to argue against themselves or yourself or itself better than the opposition can argue against you. As soon as you can do that, you've got a much more rounded view of the world, a much more experience, much more understanding, much more open-minded. And so don't be Don't be not listening to people just because you don't like them. You don't like the character or the history or the personality. They have something that can change everything. So if you learn both sides of the argument, you can discover and you can cut through it. You can cut through all the sinew and all the distractions and all the hyperbole to understand and define the truth. And defining the real worthwhile knowledge and information. Because you don't want extreme views in life. Extreme views distract you, and they are inefficient because they could be built on falsehoods or inaccuracies. You want to find truth by listening to as many people as possible, regardless of their background or history or experience, and taking their knowledge and then looking at it and analysing it and comparing it to other facts and other information that you've gathered throughout your life and throughout your years. You don't just want to take things blindsidedly, like the extremes, and you don't want to ignore some people just because you don't like them. So what is called the disliking bias, where because someone we don't simply like, character, personality, whatever, we're not going to listen to them at all. It's a bit of a fallacy, because that person could have something worthwhile knowing, something very powerful, but we don't listen to them. But why is that? Why do we not listen to someone that can really teach us something about business or finance or marketing or life experience in general? Because simply we don't like them. So you gotta ignore that. You gotta go beyond the disliking bias and take it in. Take the knowledge, analyze it, and go to bed every day a little bit wiser and a little bit smarter. That way you're getting ahead step by step. Step by step you want to get ahead, not in leaps and bounds. So I wrote a blog about this. Check out the blog below, or wherever you're watching this. If you haven't already, subscribe. Click the red button. There's so much more stuff to come. So much more cool things on the way. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you soon.